Hello, hello, hello. B'tvoch, B'at Hashem. All have wonderful, wonderful week. Closer, 1 week closer to Rosh Hashanah. Since Shabbat Rosh Hashanah. Let's take a quick look at Sipurey Baal Shem for this week. B'at Hashem. Rabbi Chaim Rappaport was the Rav of Krakow. Sorry, Lvov. And he was a big misnagger to Baal Shem Tov. During the Baal Shem Tov's time, people didn't know who he was, and it was fresh after, the Frank Ymach Shemo and other, false messianic uh, movement that caused great damage. And there were many, honest, El Chayyidin and Tzaddikim that were afraid that the Baal Shem Tov represented another such cult or whatever. Till Baruch Hashem, things were proven otherwise. Nevertheless, so one time, Reb Chaim Rappaport was in his room and he was learning when a guest came in and looked like a pauper with a satchel. And so Reb Chaim gave him Shalom Aleichem. And he said, where are you from? So the guest told him, Afar va'efer ani v'zeh shmi. I'm dust and ashes, and that's my name. So the guest asked Reb Chaim, and who are you? Reb Chaim said, I'm also dust and ashes. I'm nothing. So the guest said, so if that's the way that we're both dust and ashes, why should there be strife between us? So immediately, Reb Chaim understood that his guest was a Baal Shem Tov, and, they got to know each other, and the machlokes has ceased. This is a very, very poignant talking point. Rabbeinu HaKodesh, Rabbi Nachman Breslev, said at one time, he had many people, and including many tzaddikim who were disputing him and against him. And so Rabbeinu said something fascinating. He said, all those who are against me, who dispute me, he says they draw a picture of someone with their imagination, who they think I might be, and they dispute on that image, that person. He says, on such a person, I would dispute too. He says, but it's not me. They're not disputing me at all, because this is not me. One of the things that are so vitally important, if a person hopes to bring to himself something in the world to come. There are many things in this world which hold a person back. One of those things is a person has established a personality, point of view, an image. He belongs to a kehillah, to a certain school of thought. And this in on itself is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it protects you. It keeps you on the straight and narrow. Because a person has all kinds of, person wobbles during his lifetime. And, there are certain times in which you doubt yourself and you doubt everything else. And it is the society that you belong to that keeps you honest, keeps you, and it's extremely important, especially, in a society like us, which is what we call a God-centric society. We're dedicated to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and we judge ourselves and others, on how close they are or how far they are from Kodesh Baruch Hu. We spoke about it a few times, but it's worth repeating. It's equally important, that we have a Rav, a Rebbe. Emunas Tzadikim, be close to Tzadikim, the entire Yiddishkeit depends on it. Yosef Atzadik told his brothers, you all have to bow down to me. There's nothing you can do about it. They thought that, he wanted status, he wanted whatever. But the point was that it's just a fact. It's just a fact of life. But here is the imagination. Toward the word imagination is not really the kind of word that I'd like to use. Because we understand imagination as, okay, here we are, and then we imagine things. It's like a cognitive decision, either to try to paint something or try to create something, or even, when you learn, to compare things to one another. It's an action that you are aware of doing. That's what we feel that imagination is. But nevertheless, imagination is a much, much deeper tool in a person's life. On one hand, we have the seichel, the sense, the intellect. We're not talking about intellect as in computing power. We don't make one to be a scientist or whatever, or a philosopher or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the sense, the content, the seichel itself. What is good and what is bad? What does Hashem want and what Hashem doesn't want? The seichel in itself has nothing to do with life. It's a statement. In order for that lesson to be implemented in your life, you need a conduit between the principle and your life. And what I'm doing now, is it right or is it wrong? I know this is supposed to do good. You're not supposed to do bad. Now, when it comes to my life, is this good or is this bad? You need to compare the two. That power is called the koyach hamedama, the ability to compare. This is the comparative force. Imagination is part of it. We live in a world that is basically, until Zat Hashem, the Geula will come, is basically in semi-darkness. Semi-darkness allows you to see plus minus where you are, but it also is very dangerous because you can falter on things. You can make, bad assumptions, wrong assumptions. I mean, in darkness, you come into a room, and the minute you step in, you can fall over a chair, bang into a cabinet, or into a table. Whatever it is, it's very dangerous. You don't know where it is. You know what's under your feet. You can step on the cat, so suddenly. But the minute you flip on the light, everything becomes clear. You don't need the map of the room. You don't need to, touch with your hands. You can see everything. During this time, while free choice is still available, we're living in a life in which it is partially lit. We know basically what is right and what is wrong. And it's mostly dark. So what it is, we see what we see, and we have to complete the picture with our koyach hamedanu, with our imagination. That's why I'm sure that the older ones within us will surely remember, there used to be programs on the radio, like detective stories, The Shadow, and all kinds of stuff like that, like radio theater. And it was so fascinating because you didn't see it. You heard certain things, you understood the story, you heard the voices, but that's just make-believe voices from the radio. You completed the entire picture with your imagination. When television came into being, it shrunk from a limitless world of imagination into just this is what it is, nothing else. So they have, these movies that try to make it more real and more real and more real, but nothing could be more fascinating than your own imagination, spurred by the little glimpse of light that you see. You know, when you take your wife to be on shidduch, whenever it is you meet her, in a darkened place, I mean, she can look either 1,000% prettier or 1,000% uglier than she really is. Why? Because you only see a partial picture and you conclude the rest with your imagination. The problem is that we must be connected to the tzaddik. Without being connected to tzaddikim, we will never know what the truth is. What the real truth is, A, and what the real truth is regarding ourselves. We cannot see ourselves, we cannot see the world, we cannot see Hashem. We see glimpses and we fill in the picture with our imagination. Now, if we belong to a society where people are against the tzaddik emes, they can find a gazillion reasons why everything is allowed to shun him and to persecute him, to do whatever you want because you are acting on imagination. The imagination it turns for you to be a fact, but it isn't. Usually the thing that causes people to stop, to pause, and rethink is trouble. As long as things are good, it's good. Everything is flowing. Well, I have to recalibrate what I am, what I'm not. It's not to do with anything. The minute we realize that we're stuck and there's nowhere to go, then we are holding back and saying, I need help. You need help, then your eyes open up. La aleinu v'lo aleichem. People have a lot of ideas about alternative medicine. How it's nonsense, how it's this, how it's that, or whatever it is. And with those people, and everybody, we all knew such people, that when they were very sick, they would try anything. What happened to your opinion? This is nonsense. This is just make believe. Yeah, this I was Uh, that person had this opinion when he was standing on firm ground of good health. Now, he needs help. He really needs help. And he doesn't care how he gets it. All the masks are falling off. A person needs to call out to Kodesh Baruch Hu while the going is good. So Hashem to open up my eyes so I can see the tzaddik emes, so I can see the light of the tzaddik emes. Not because I'm looking for some kind of personality cult, but because I need to see myself. I need to see where am I in the world? Where am I going? I'm moving through the world blind as a bat. I think I know, because I have glimpses here, glimpses there, and I risk, I fill the rest with my imagination. The shadows know. Remember? And there's no time to waste. Because we're in this world for a limited amount of time. And everything is at stake. Absolutely everything. But Nosson says that the Dixfush Pasha was Ekev Tishmonet Mishpatim. The Ekev is the heel. He says the heel, when a person is stepped on by the incidents in his lifetime. Once you're under the Ekev, you're under the heel, Tishmonet Mishpatim, and then you can hear the judgments, the true discerning of what's right and what's wrong, and who can lead you. We all wish to drive into paradise in a Rolls Royce. But it doesn't work that way. We have to work. And every person needs to go through whatever he goes through. But I'm afraid if I will, dedicate myself to Avodas Hashem, they said the Kodesh Baruch Hu is particular with the tzaddikim, kechut asar, like a hairbreadth. Maybe I'll bring upon myself chas v'chalila, dinim and mishpatim and judgments or whatever. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. Rabbi Moshe Kodover, the Ramak, before the Arizal, he said already, don't worry about it. This kind of being particular, a hairbreadth on the tzaddik Kodesh Baruch Hu does, is for the tzaddikim who are able to carry it, or masking, to go under the magnifying glass in such a way. Don't worry. You can wake up, you can start serving Kodesh Baruch Hu, you can search for the truth. You'll be fine. In the meantime, we all go through whatever we go through. Hashem should help us with that Hashem, that we will never dispute, much more so act against the tzaddik emes. We all know that this is life right now. It's life. It's not the grand rehearsal for life. And, it's finders keepers. That's it. Whatever you do, and it's yours, for good or for the better. So, B'ezrat Hashem, Kotzvah should help us with the koch of all the tzaddikim, throughout the generations, all tzaddikim this generation, all tzaddikim, that are, already passed away. They're all living and existing. Their power is greater now than it was during their lifetime. All over, especially the koch of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Moshe Rabbeinu, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbeinu Arizal, the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbeinu HaKadosh. The source of all the great tzaddikim should stand by us. We should not deceive ourselves and form an opinion because it's a popular opinion, because people say so, or, there's no time to waste. Hashem will help us. The source of all the tzaddikim, to have true eyes and clean medama. We need the medama. We can live without it. But it needs to be clean from falsehoods, from the temptation of looking at things with preconceived notions or borrowed notions or notions, ideas of that belong to a certain group, that we want to be considered as part of that group. Really, the Emes Lamita, the truth itself. Hashem observe to our complete tikkun, each and our complete rectification, each one of us. Zoichet Hashem to the rebuilding of Beis Hamikdash, the coming from Mashiach Hashem soon in our days. All have a fantastic, fantastic week. Kol Tov and Bim Tzliach. Let's see how we do this. We go.